They called it a scientific experiment. We called it a declaration of hostility. When alien observers decided to test human resilience with an EMP attack, they expected panic and disarray. Instead, they got Luna Torres on their screens demanding a conversation. What they thought was primitive survival instinct turned out to be sophisticated strategic defense. Commander Vex watched the human colony below with the detached interest of a technician monitoring lab rats. His fingers moved across the console, adjusting sensors to measure biosignatures and electromagnetic outputs. Dr. Kirathane stood slightly behind him, her four eyes tracking different data streams simultaneously. Their settlement appears organized, she noted. Records indicate they've survived multiple extinction-level events on their homeworld. Vex didn't look up from his displays. Survival instinct. Primitive species develop persistence, not intelligence. They build shelters, store food, reproduce. Basic biological programming. Their vessel hung cloaked in high orbit, invisible to Kepler 442b's detection systems. Standard observation protocol demanded complete non-interference, but Vex had authorization for active testing. Galactic Research Directive 7 allowed controlled stimuli to measure stress thresholds in developing civilizations. He initiated the first sequence. Begin electromagnetic pulse test. Low intensity, targeted at their power grid. His voice carried the bored confidence of someone who'd performed this procedure 47 times before. The system confirmed the command with a soft chime. On the main viewer, the human settlement glowed with thermal signatures and energy readings. They looked like metal boxes full of electrical impulses to Vex. Nothing more than data points waiting to be cataloged. Their ships used primitive combustion engines. Their communications relied on rudimentary radio waves. Their structures were simple polymer composites. Kirathane shifted uncomfortably. Their technological development shows unusual adaptability patterns. Multiple instances of rapid innovation under pressure. Coincidence and desperation, Vex countered. They lack strategic cognition. Watch how they scatter when systems fail. Standard primitive response pattern. His console displayed the countdown to pulse activation. 3 minutes. The observation manual predicted communications breakdown, energy grid collapse, and social disorganization. Standard metrics for technological dependency assessment. Vex prepared the recording systems to document the inevitable chaos. He couldn't conceive that these beings might recognize an artificial EMP amidst natural solar activity. Their sensor technology shouldn't detect the subtle signature differences. Their scientific understanding couldn't process the attack's artificial precision. The cloaking technology alone represented science's millennia beyond their comprehension. Kirathane watched the settlement's routine movements. There was a rhythm to their activities that felt more coordinated than previous observations. She noted the way maintenance teams moved along predetermined routes, how communication towers maintained perfect spacing for optimal coverage. But protocol demanded she record, not interpret. Vex's arrogance wasn't personal. It was institutional. Generations of observational data confirmed that primitive species reacted predictably to technological disruption. Fear first, then confusion, then breakdown of social order. The perfect conditions for measuring resilience thresholds. His confidence created the ideal circumstances for disaster. The assumption of superiority blinded him to anomalies in the data streams. The certainty of their technological invisibility prevented him from questioning why human communications suddenly jammed to a new frequency band 30 seconds before the test. The countdown reached 0. The pulse launched toward the settlement below. Vex leaned forward slightly, expecting the satisfying cascade of system failures across his monitor. This first test would reveal everything about human limitations. The electromagnetic pulse struck the human power grid precisely at 0347 local time. Vex watched his monitors, waiting for the satisfying cascade of failure indicators. His console displayed predicted patterns based on 47 previous tests on developing civilizations. Communications collapse should begin within 7 seconds. Energy distribution networks should show catastrophic failure within 12. Social disorder metrics should spike within 90. Instead, the settlement lights blinked once and stabilized. Backup generators activated in perfect sequence. Emergency lighting systems illuminated pathways with coordinated precision. Vex leaned closer to his display, fingers pausing over the control panel. This wasn't the predicted response. Human figures moved through the streets not with panic but with purpose. They carried tools, not personal belongings. They moved toward infrastructure points, not away from them. Kirathane observed the thermal signatures regrouping at communication hubs. They're establishing redundant networks. Manual signal repeaters are coming online. Her secondary eyes tracked the rapid deployment of mobile transmission units. Teams moved with the coordination of military personnel, not frightened civilians. Then a voice cut through the static on Monitor 7. Clear, calm, and utterly controlled. Female mid-range vocal frequency. No stress indicators in the speech pattern. Solar flares don't hit with that kind of surgical precision. The words hung in the observation chamber. Vex's hand froze above the console. The voice continued, analytical and cold. The electromagnetic signature shows artificial amplification. The targeting matches our infrastructure layout too precisely for natural phenomena. Vex checked his cloak status for the third time. Full operational, no energy leakage, no sensor signature. The vessel remained completely invisible to human detection technology. Yet that voice knew. It understood the pulse wasn't natural. It recognized intelligent design behind the attack. The human communications network reorganized itself around the damage. They used handheld devices, line-of-sight lasers, even mirrored surfaces to bounce signals. Every workaround demonstrated deep understanding of electromagnetic principles. They weren't just repairing. They were adapting their entire communication methodology in real time. Vex felt the first cold touch of uncertainty. His assumption of anonymity shattered like glass. These weren't primitive creatures reacting with instinct. These were technicians analyzing an attack vector, scientists reverse engineering the assault parameters, strategists recognizing hostile intent. The voice returned, sharper this time. Whoever you are, we recognize this as a deliberate action. Natural events don't target specific substations with millimeter accuracy. The statement hung in the air, a declaration of understanding that violated every observational protocol. Vex's console showed the human settlement transforming before his sensors. What should have been chaos became organized response. What should have been technological collapse became systematic adaptation. The metrics all ran contrary to the Galactic Research Database predictions. Kirathane spoke quietly. They've identified the pulse origin vector. Their sensor arrays are now focused on our position. Her screen showed human telescopes and radar installations aligning precisely. With their cloaked vessel's location, the experiment had become something else entirely. The measured had become the measurer. The observers found themselves suddenly uncomfortably visible. Their technological superiority felt less certain. Their controlled test had revealed not human limitations, but human capabilities they hadn't anticipated. Mining vehicles stopped excavating ore and began rearranging themselves into defensive configurations. Their drilling rigs realigned to project-coordinated electromagnetic fields. Conveyor belts reconfigured into signal dampeners. The heavy machinery that moments before had been processing planetary resources now formed a makeshift defensive perimeter around critical infrastructure. Each piece transformed with mechanical precision, operators working with the calm efficiency of engineers solving a complex problem. Agricultural sensors pivoted from monitoring crop growth to scanning the electromagnetic spectrum. Irrigation control systems repurposed as communication jammers, their water flow algorithms rewritten to disrupt signal transmission. Greenhouse climate monitors began detecting energy signatures instead of temperature fluctuations. The settlement's food production infrastructure became its first line of electronic defense. Farmers became signal analysts, their handheld devices now displaying frequency interference patterns instead of soil moisture levels. This wasn't about having better technology. It was about using available technology better. The humans demonstrated an improvisational genius that defied categorization. They treated the attack not as a catastrophe but as an engineering challenge. Teams coordinated without panic, specialists emerging from every sector to contribute solutions. Geologists recalibrated seismic sensors to detect orbital energy emissions. Biologists modified DNA sequencers to analyze electromagnetic patterns. Every piece of equipment revealed hidden dual purposes. Construction cranes became antenna arrays. Water filtration systems served as heat dispersion units. Residential power grids reconfigured into distributed computing networks for breaking encryption. The colony functioned like a single organism, repurposing its entire technological biology for defense. What appeared to be simple mining equipment became sophisticated countermeasure systems. The observers watched capabilities emerge that weren't in any database. Human teams developed real-time signal scrambling techniques using modified medical equipment. They created localized EMP hardening using recycled ship hull materials. Their solutions emerged from collaborative problem-solving rather than predetermined protocols. The settlement transformed from a collection of structures into an integrated defensive network. Human resilience proved to be fundamentally collaborative. They shared solutions across sectors, adapted failures into new approaches, and treated the attack as a collective technical puzzle. This adaptive defense demonstrated a flexibility that rigid technological superiority couldn't match. Their strength lay in conceptual mobility, not hardware specifications. The frontier colony became a fortress through pure creativity. Defensive systems emerged from agricultural tools. Communication networks rebuilt themselves using entertainment systems. Power distribution reinvented itself through kitchen appliance modifications. The transformation occurred too rapidly for standard threat assessment protocols. What began as scattered responses coalesced into coordinated defense. The improvisation engine generated solutions faster than the observers could analyze them. Each adaptation created new capabilities the observers hadn't anticipated. The humans weren't just defending. They were learning, adapting, and evolving their defensive posture in real time. Their response demonstrated that technological disparity matters less than adaptive capacity. The colony's transformation revealed that human ingenuity could bridge galactic technological gaps through creative repurposing. Every system served multiple functions now, each adaptation making the settlement more resilient than before. The observers found themselves watching not a primitive settlement in crisis, but a sophisticated defense network emerging from seemingly inadequate components. The improvisation engine continued generating new solutions, each more unexpected than the last. Luna Torres' voice cut across 7 communication channels simultaneously. Her commands arrived crisp and timed to the second, each directive triggering coordinated action across the settlement. She stood in the central operations hub, her hands moving across multiple displays without hesitation. The aliens had assumed a frontier colony would lack chain of command. They expected disorganized shouting, conflicting priorities, chaotic responses. Instead, they witnessed military-grade command structure emerging instantly. Her first orders deployed engineering teams to shield critical infrastructure. The second sequence repositioned mobile sensor arrays. The third established redundant communication lines using laser arrays and microwave transmitters. Each command built upon the last, creating layered defensive systems. Her voice remained level, analytical, completely devoid of panic stress indicators. This wasn't emergency improvisation. This was execution of pre-planned protocols. The coalition responding to her directives included former orbital defense specialists, signal intelligence officers, and astrophysicists. Their coordination revealed years of hidden preparation. Maintenance crews followed security protocols usually seen in military installations. Civilian technicians performed electronic countermeasure operations with professional precision. Every sector responded with seamless integration, from power management to communications to physical security. The settlement operated like a single organism with Luna as its conscious mind. Her commands flowed through established channels that shouldn't exist in a civilian colony. Teams moved with purpose, not urgency. Systems came online in coordinated sequences. Backup power activated sector by sector in perfect rhythm. Communication nodes established overlapping coverage patterns. This defensive response demonstrated sophisticated organizational discipline. The observers watched command hierarchies form with clear reporting structures. Luna delegated authority to section leaders who executed complex maneuvers without additional guidance. The entire colony functioned with the coordination of a military unit under fire. Their movements showed rehearsed efficiency, not desperate innovation. Vex monitored the command patterns with growing unease. This level of organization contradicted all observational data on human social structures. Primitive civilizations typically fractured under stress. Leadership disputes emerged. Communication breakdowns occurred. Instead, human coordination improved under pressure. Their response became more efficient with each passing minute. Luna's leadership revealed strategic depth the observers hadn't anticipated. She anticipated secondary and tertiary effects of the EMP attack. Her teams hardened systems against follow-up strikes. They established decoy energy signatures to confuse targeting. They created false system failure indicators to mislead observation. Every action demonstrated advanced understanding of military deception tactics. The observers realized they weren't watching a civilian settlement defend itself. They were witnessing a professional security force activating its defense protocols. The colony's response indicated extensive preparation for exactly this scenario. Their training levels matched galactic security forces, not frontier civilians. Human leadership proved fundamentally different from assumed models. Luna's command style blended technical expertise with strategic vision. She made decisions based on multivariate analysis rather than simple reaction. Her teams trusted her judgment completely, executing complex orders without question. This wasn't primitive tribal leadership. This was sophisticated command and control. The organized response transformed understanding of human capabilities. What appeared to be a simple mining colony revealed itself as something much more prepared. The observers' sensors tracked coordination that shouldn't be possible without advanced planning. Their assumptions about human social organization required complete revision. Luna's final command sequence established full defensive perimeter activation. The settlement now operated as a unified defensive entity. Every system, every person, every resource coordinated through her command hub. The transformation from civilian outpost to military installation occurred in 14 minutes flat. The organized response signaled this was no ordinary colony. This was something the galactic database had never documented. The mirror arrays began their rotation in perfect unison. 74 polished metal surfaces angled toward the star, catching raw sunlight and focusing it into coordinated beams. The observers expected simple solar energy collection, primitive technology following predictable patterns. Instead, the mirrors redirected energy into the upper atmosphere with surgical precision. Their focused beams ionized specific atmospheric layers, creating artificial plasma clouds that scattered sensor emissions. This atmospheric manipulation demonstrated sophisticated understanding of electromagnetic propagation. The humans weren't just defending. They were reshaping their environment into a defensive weapon. The ionization patterns created localized interference that degraded sensor resolution. The observers' displays developed static patterns exactly where human infrastructure stood. Critical reconnaissance zones became increasingly difficult to monitor through the artificial atmospheric distortions. The mirror array served multiple purposes simultaneously. While disrupting sensors, it also transmitted complex pulse patterns toward the observer's position. The flashes followed mathematical sequences that couldn't be natural phenomena. Precise intervals, specific durations, deliberate repetition of prime number sequences. This was clearly intentional communication using the most basic technology available. Vex watched the pulse patterns with growing alarm. Each flash contained embedded data packets when analyzed at the right frequency. The humans were signaling their awareness while simultaneously degrading his ability to observe them. They turned simple reflective surfaces into multifunction defensive systems. The creativity demonstrated here defied all standard assessment protocols. The battlefield itself became their tool. Atmospheric conditions that should have favored technological superiority now worked against it. The ionization created localized energy distortions that masked human movements and communications. Their primitive technology achieved effects that required advanced understanding of atmospheric physics and electromagnetic theory. This wasn't accidental discovery. The precision of the mirror movements showed pre-calculated trajectories. The humans had planned for this exact scenario. Their preparation included turning solar collection arrays into defensive and communication systems. Every movement demonstrated deep understanding of how to counter advanced surveillance technology. The line between nuisance and aggression completely blurred. What began as simple interference became active counter-reconnaissance. The humans controlled the observational environment now. They determined what could be seen, when, and under what conditions. Their manipulation of the battlefield showed strategic thinking far beyond primitive response patterns. Vex realized this was a deliberate demonstration of capability. The humans weren't just defending against observation. They were communicating their technological understanding through action. Each mirror adjustment spoke volumes about their comprehension of advanced physics. Their creative use of simple technology revealed unexpected sophistication. The multi-domain defense strategy emerged clearly now. Humans operated across physical, electromagnetic, and psychological domains simultaneously. Their mirror array affected sensor systems, communication channels, and observational confidence. This integrated approach demonstrated military thinking, not primitive reaction. Primitive technology achieved sophisticated effects through pure creativity. The humans used basic principles in advanced combinations. Their understanding of energy reflection, atmospheric physics, and information theory created capabilities that shouldn't exist at their technology level. The gap between assumed and actual capability widened with every mirror adjustment. The observers found themselves struggling to maintain situational awareness. Their superior technology became increasingly useless against simple mirrored surfaces and manipulated atmosphere. The humans engineered their advantage using the most fundamental tools available. This revelation changed the entire nature of the engagement. The first security protocol failed with a soft chime. Vex dismissed it as a routine system refresh until the secondary protocols collapsed 30 seconds later. His console displayed unauthorized access warnings from 7 different subsystems simultaneously. Environmental controls fluctuated next. Temperature dropped 5 degrees, then spiked 8 degrees higher. Atmospheric composition ratios shifted outside safe parameters before stabilizing again. The life support system reported impossible pressure variations that shouldn't occur in a sealed vessel. Navigation systems began providing false readings. Star charts shifted coordinates by fractional degrees. Sensor arrays detected phantom objects in clear space. Proximity alarms triggered for non-existent obstacles. The ship's internal mapping system displayed corridors that didn't exist and sealed doors that stood open. Each error felt calculated to create maximum confusion without triggering catastrophic failure protocols. The cascade continued through communications. Encryption keys rotated without command authorization. Frequency locks disengaged and re-engaged at random intervals. Internal comms broadcast static across critical channels. External sensors reported incoming messages that never arrived. The disruption pattern avoided complete blackout, maintaining just enough functionality to prevent emergency overrides from activating. This wasn't random system degradation. The failures followed intelligent patterns. Security protocols fell in sequence, each collapse creating vulnerability for the next intrusion. Environmental fluctuations targeted crew comfort zones, not survival thresholds. Navigation errors provided misleading data without causing actual course deviations. The precision indicated deep understanding of ship systems and thresholds. Vex attempted system reboots. The commands executed but produced no change. He tried manual overrides. The systems acknowledged the commands, then continued their erratic behavior. Diagnostic routines returned normal readings even as displays showed obvious malfunctions. The ship's internal monitoring reported all systems optimal, while reality demonstrated otherwise. The intrusion felt personal. It targeted systems that affected operational confidence rather than ship integrity. Temperature fluctuations in command areas but not engineering. Navigation errors during precise orbital maneuvers but not during station keeping. Communication static during critical decision moments but not during routine operations. Each intervention demonstrated awareness of command priorities and psychological pressures. This was targeted psychological warfare using their own systems as weapons. The humans hadn't just breached their technology. They understood how to use it against them. They manipulated environmental controls to create discomfort without danger. They tampered with navigation to undermine confidence in positional awareness. They disrupted communications to isolate command staff without complete isolation. The technological superiority that should have made them impervious became their vulnerability. Advanced systems provided more entry points for manipulation. Complex protocols created more failure modes to exploit. Sophisticated monitoring could be turned into instruments of deception. Their own technology became the medium for their discomfort. Vex realized the humans had been inside their systems longer than anyone suspected. The precision of the intrusions required extensive familiarity with alien architecture. The manipulations demonstrated understanding of psychological thresholds and operational protocols. This wasn't a recent breach. This was the culmination of long-term observation and analysis. Their systems had been compromised at fundamental levels. Security protocols that should have been inviolable proved permeable. Communication channels that should have been secure proved vulnerable. Navigation systems that should have been reliable proved manipulable. The cascade failure revealed that their technological advantage was an illusion. The ultimate confirmation arrived not as a system alert, but as a simple text message that appeared on every display simultaneously. The message used their own alert formatting, their own priority coding, their own communication protocols. It was the final demonstration of how completely their systems had been compromised. The message appeared simultaneously across every display on the bridge, not as an alert or transmission. It manifested directly on their most secure screens, bypassing all notification protocols. Plain text in the standard galactic communication font, no encryption warnings, no source identification, just 9 words that changed everything. Hello Vex, we need to talk. Please respond on frequency 447.3 MHz. Sincerely, Luna Torres. Commander Vex stared at his personal command display. The message floated over his tactical readouts as if it belonged there. His name appeared in perfect formal address protocol. The designated frequency matched their quantum entanglement communication band. This shouldn't be possible. Their quantum comm system used particle pairs that existed in synchronized states across light years. The security relied on physics, not encryption. No external species could access it without physical contact with the entangled particles. The message demonstrated comprehensive system penetration. It used their own most secure technology against them. The humans hadn't just detected their presence. They had mastered alien communication systems thought to be inviolable. They knew the commander's name. They knew his command protocols. They knew which frequency would guarantee a secure, untraceable response channel. Luna Torres spoke directly through their technology. Her message displayed the confidence of someone who already controlled the communication environment. The observational protocol shattered completely. They were no longer hidden watchers studying primitive subjects. They became participants in a dialogue initiated by the observed. The power dynamic inverted in that single message. The bridge crew remained frozen at their stations. Every console showed the same text. Environmental control, navigation, weapon systems all displayed Luna's invitation to conversation. This demonstrated system-wide penetration beyond anything in security manuals. The humans didn't need to hack each system separately. They had achieved fundamental access to the ship's core communication architecture. Vex checked the quantum entanglement logs. No outgoing messages, no incoming signals. The message hadn't been transmitted through normal channels. It had been written directly into the display buffers. The humans had manipulated the ship's internal systems at the most basic level. Their access went deeper than software. It reached into the hardware itself. The designated response frequency confirmed their understanding of alien technology, frequency 447.3. MHz represented the secure command channel reserved for fleet admirals. It used quantum encryption that should be unbreakable by any species without Galactic Council security clearance. Luna's request to use this frequency showed she understood its significance and capabilities. This communication breach revealed months of preparatory work. The humans hadn't just responded to the EMP attack. They had been studying alien systems long before today. Their understanding of quantum communications indicated extensive analysis of captured data. They had reverse-engineered technology centuries ahead of their own development. The message transformed their relationship completely. From observers and subjects to counterparties in negotiation, Luna established herself as an equal through technological demonstration rather than declaration. Her polite tone contrasted with the aggressive nature of the system penetration. The courtesy made the demonstration more devastating. Vex realized every assumption about human capabilities required revision. Their technological development might appear primitive, but their understanding proved sophisticated. Their ability to adapt and integrate alien technology demonstrated cognitive flexibility beyond galactic norms. The message represented not just communication, but comprehensive capability demonstration. The power dynamic shifted permanently in that moment. The observers lost their advantage of secrecy and technological superiority. The humans controlled the communication channel. They set the terms. They demonstrated their equality through action rather than negotiation. From this point forward, the relationship would proceed on human terms as much as alien ones. Luna's message closed with formal courtesy that felt like a challenge. Sincerely implied relationship. Luna Torres established identity. The entire communication framework assumed parity. The observers found themselves responding to a dialogue they never intended to start. Their experiment had produced results far beyond anything in the research protocols. Luna's voice remained level as she delivered the next transmission. "We have been monitoring your activities since the day you arrived." The statement landed with the force of a physical blow. Her words carried no triumph, only factual certainty. "Your cloak technology is impressive, but not perfect. We detected your orbital insertion burn 14 months ago. Your thermal signature patterns gave you away during your first planetary scan. The observers had believed themselves invisible. Their cloaking technology represented the pinnacle of galactic engineering. They moved through human space like ghosts, recording everything while leaving no traces. Their confidence in technological superiority had been absolute. Now Luna revealed they'd been visible from the beginning. Their covert observation had been observed. Their secret study had been studied. Every observation they'd conducted had been carefully curated. The humans understood alien biases and expectations. They presented precisely the image the observers expected to see. Primitive technology, simple social structures, basic scientific understanding. The settlement appeared exactly as the galactic database predicted for a developing civilization. This appearance wasn't accidental. It was strategic presentation. Luna continued her calm explanation. "We analyzed your research protocols from 17 previous planetary studies. Your methodology prefers certain data patterns. Your equipment responds predictably to specific stimuli. The humans hadn't just been watching. They'd been analyzing the observers' own scientific methods. They understood the alien lens through which they were being studied. The primitive appearance served multiple purposes. It encouraged observer complacency. It triggered predictable testing protocols. It revealed alien methodologies and capabilities. The humans learned more about galactic technology by appearing helpless than they could have through direct confrontation. Their strategic deception created the perfect conditions for counter-observation. The EMP test confirmed everything the humans suspected about alien research ethics. It matched patterns from previous planetary studies. The intensity, targeting, and follow-up monitoring aligned with established protocols. The humans had anticipated this exact test based on previous observation of alien behavior. Their defensive response wasn't improvisation. It was prepared reaction based on extensive analysis. Luna's voice took on a sharper edge. "Your assumption that primitive technology indicates primitive understanding proved your fundamental error. We allowed you to see what you expected to see." The observers realized their entire dataset was compromised. Every observation, every measurement, every conclusion had been filtered through human manipulation. They hadn't been studying human capabilities. They'd been studying human theater. The study's outcome was shaped by human intent from the beginning. The observers believed they controlled the experiment's parameters. They chose the tests. They set the conditions. They recorded the results. In reality, the humans determined what tests would be conducted. They influenced observer decisions through careful information management. They controlled the results through prepared responses. The observers were never in control. Their confidence in technological superiority blinded them to the manipulation. Their assumption of primitive subject behavior prevented them from questioning the data patterns. Their entire research paradigm depended on the studied being unaware of the study. This fundamental premise proved false. Luna's revelation reframed every previous observation. The settlement's layout, the technology choices, the social structures. Everything appeared different when viewed as deliberate presentation rather than natural development. The humans had constructed a perfect mirror reflecting alien expectations back at them. They learned more about their observers than their observers learned about them. The power dynamic completed its inversion. The studied became the students. The observers became the subject matter. Their technology, methodologies, and ethical frameworks all became data points in human analysis. Their confidence became their greatest vulnerability. Their superiority complex became their analytical blind spot. This revelation transformed understanding of the entire encounter. What appeared to be alien scientific progress became human psychological operation. The experiment's results said more about observer limitations than human capabilities. The data wasn't corrupted. It was carefully crafted to reveal specific truths about the observers themselves. The observers faced the uncomfortable reality that they'd been transparent while believing themselves invisible. Their technological advantage became their analytical disadvantage. Their confidence in their methods became their greatest weakness. They'd been running an experiment on themselves without realizing it. Luna's voice remained analytical as she dissected their fundamental error. The problem with studying primitive civilizations is that you tend to assume primitive means inferior. Her words carried the weight of demonstrated evidence rather than theoretical argument. She wasn't criticizing. She was explaining observable reality based on their own failed experiment. The distinction between primitive technology and primitive intelligence represented the core misunderstanding. Humanity followed a different developmental trajectory shaped by different environmental pressures. Their technology emphasized adaptability over raw complexity, simple systems that could be repurposed, basic components that served multiple functions. This approach created resilience through flexibility, rather than robustness through over-engineering. Their technological philosophy valued improvisation capacity above predetermined functionality. The alien control-based approach blinded them to alternative strengths. Their assumption that technological sophistication indicated cognitive superiority prevented genuine assessment. They measured civilization development against their own historical path, rather than considering divergent evolutionary possibilities. This methodological bias created critical blind spots in their observational protocols. Different development paths create different capabilities. Human technology demonstrated remarkable adaptive capacity, precisely because it wasn't overly specialized. Their systems could be reconfigured for unexpected challenges. Their tools served multiple purposes. This flexibility proved more valuable than predetermined complexity when facing novel threats. Their technological simplicity became an advantage rather than a limitation. The observer's measurement framework failed to account for cognitive flexibility. Their assessment metrics valued specialized knowledge over general problem solving. They tested for predetermined responses rather than creative adaptation. Their entire research paradigm assumed technological progression followed a single developmental path. With their civilization at the apex, Luna's explanation revealed the epistemological flaw in galactic research methodology. The assumption of linear technological progression prevented recognition of alternative intelligence manifestations. Different environmental pressures produce different cognitive strengths. Human history of surviving multiple extinction events favored adaptability over specialization. Their technology reflected this evolutionary pressure. The alien focus on control and predictability made them vulnerable to adaptive opponents. Their sophisticated systems lacked the flexibility to handle truly novel responses. Their confidence in technological superiority prevented them from recognizing unconventional capabilities. Their assessment parameters couldn't measure creative problem-solving outside established frameworks. This realization undermined centuries of galactic research protocols. The entire observational framework required fundamental revision. Different didn't mean inferior. Alternative development paths produced alternative strengths. Human technology might appear primitive by complexity metrics but demonstrated superior performance in adaptation testing. Their systems could evolve in real time to address new challenges. The epistemological shift changed everything about interstellar relations. Civilizations couldn't be ranked on a linear developmental scale. Different environmental histories created different capability sets. Technological simplicity might indicate sophisticated design philosophy, rather than limited understanding. Adaptation capacity might outweigh predetermined functionality in many scenarios. Humanity's demonstration proved that technological assessment required multidimensional analysis. A civilization's capabilities couldn't be measured against a single developmental model. Their response to the EMP test showed strengths the observer's framework couldn't quantify. Their improvisational capacity, collaborative problem-solving, and system repurposing demonstrated intelligence manifesting differently. This cognitive flexibility represented a strategic advantage the observers hadn't anticipated. Their own technological sophistication made them predictable. Human technological simplicity made them adaptable. This realization forced complete reconsideration of galactic power dynamics. Different developmental paths created different kinds of strength. The observer's control-based approach had blinded them to this fundamental truth. Luna's biographical data appeared on their main display without request. Former orbital defense engineer, advanced degrees in astrophysics and systems theory, 15 years military service with tactical command experience. The observers had assumed frontier colony leadership would consist of agricultural specialists and basic administrators. They expected limited technical knowledge and no strategic training. Instead, they faced someone who understood orbital mechanics better than most of their own officers. Her command team included former signal intelligence analysts, electromagnetic warfare specialists, and planetary defense consultants. This wasn't a random collection of settlers. It was a carefully selected group of experts prepared for first contact scenarios. Their professional backgrounds explained the sophisticated response to the EMP attack. These were defense specialists treating the incident as a professional challenge rather than a civilian catastrophe. Luna had built the colony's culture around resilience, engineering, and consent-based scientific principles. Her leadership philosophy rejected coercive experimentation in all forms. The settlement operated under strict ethical guidelines developed through centuries of human scientific misconduct lessons. Their response to unauthorized testing reflected this deep ethical commitment. They treated the alien provocation as both technical challenge and ethical violation. The team's diversity created comprehensive defensive capabilities. Planetary geologists understood atmospheric manipulation. Communications experts mastered signal analysis. Engineers specialized in system repurposing. This multidisciplinary approach allowed rapid adaptation to unexpected threats. Their collective knowledge covered every aspect of the alien intrusion from orbital mechanics to psychological warfare. Their rejection of non-consensual experimentation informed their defensive posture. Human history contained multiple examples of unethical research causing lasting harm. This historical awareness created zero tolerance for unauthorized testing. The colony's response combined technical countermeasures with ethical condemnation. They addressed both the physical attack and its moral implications simultaneously. This population was prepared for exactly this kind of contact. Their training exercises included scenarios involving advanced technological opponents. Their defense protocols assumed sophisticated surveillance capabilities. Their communication systems included counter-observation techniques. Every aspect of their settlement reflected anticipation of potential contact with more advanced civilizations. The observers had attacked a population of defense specialists operating at peak readiness. Their EMP test triggered prepared response protocols rather than panic. Luna's team treated the incident as a validation of their training rather than a crisis. Their coordinated defense demonstrated years of preparation and philosophical alignment. This wasn't emergent behavior. This was practiced execution. The sophistication of their response now made complete sense. Military engineers don't panic when systems fail. They diagnose and repair. Astrophysicists don't fear unusual energy signatures. They analyze and understand. Tactical commanders don't collapse under pressure. They assess and respond. The colony's performance reflected their professional backgrounds rather than any extraordinary capabilities. This revelation explained the seamless integration between technical and ethical responses. The team addressed the technological attack while simultaneously condemning its ethical violations. Their defense combined system hardening with moral argument. This dual approach confused the observers' assessment frameworks. They expected either technological countermeasures or philosophical debate, not both simultaneously. The observers realized they had fundamentally misjudged the colony's nature. This was no simple farming outpost. It was a defended position staffed by experts. Their attack hadn't provoked primitive fear responses. It had triggered professional defense protocols. The sophisticated and coordinated response now appeared inevitable, rather than surprising. The main viewer switched from external sensors to internal camera 3. The image showed Commander Vex standing at his console, his back to the camera. The angle matched the security feed from the bridge's aft monitoring system. Luna's voice remained calm. Your interior atmospheric pressure has fluctuated 3% beyond safety parameters in the last hour. We've stabilized your environmental controls to prevent crew discomfort. The statement landed with chilling precision. They weren't just accessing systems. They were operating them. Database access logs scrolled across a secondary screen. Human intrusion patterns appeared in the security records. The entries showed systematic penetration dating back 11 months. The first breach occurred during a routine maintenance cycle. The logs revealed gradual escalation from basic system mapping to full administrative access. Each entry demonstrated sophisticated understanding of alien security architecture. The humans hadn't forced their way in. They'd found natural vulnerabilities and expanded them slowly. Environmental systems responded to external commands that shouldn't exist. Life support adjusted oxygen levels based on human instructions. Temperature controls followed parameters set from outside the ship. Gravity regulation shifted subtly in response to unseen commands. Each adjustment remained within safety margins but demonstrated absolute control. The observers watched their own technology operate under external direction. Their impenetrable systems proved thoroughly penetrated. The security breach showed comprehensive depth. Humans accessed communication archives, navigation logs, and even personal data files. They demonstrated control over weapon systems without activating them. They manipulated sensor outputs without triggering alarms. Their access reached into the ship's core operating systems. This wasn't surface-level hacking. This was fundamental compromise of the vessel's entire technological framework. This intrusion wasn't recent. The access patterns showed establishment months before the EMP test. The humans had been inside their systems during the entire observation period. They'd monitored the observers monitoring them. They'd studied alien technology while appearing technologically primitive. Their access grew gradually, learning system architectures slowly rather than attacking forcefully. Alien technology was compromised from the very beginning. Their confidence in superior security became their greatest vulnerability. The assumption of impenetrability prevented basic security precautions. They never considered that a primitive species could understand their systems. This arrogance created the perfect conditions for gradual infiltration. Their technological advantage became their defensive weakness. The observers' confidence transformed into their greatest liability. Their belief in superior systems prevented them from questioning anomalies. Their trust in advanced technology made them blind to subtle infiltrations. Their entire security paradigm assumed technological superiority guaranteed protection. This assumption proved catastrophically incorrect when facing adaptive intelligence. Human persistence overcame technological disparity. They didn't need better technology. They needed better understanding. Their gradual approach allowed complete system mastery without detection. They learned alien systems through patient observation, rather than forceful intrusion. This methodical penetration demonstrated strategic patience the observers hadn't anticipated. The breach depth revealed fundamental flaws in galactic security thinking. Advanced technology didn't guarantee protection against determined analysis. Sophisticated systems contained more vulnerability points than simple ones. Complexity created more opportunities for infiltration. The observers' confidence in their technological advantage became their critical weakness when facing an opponent who valued understanding over brute force. Their systems had been transparent to human analysis for months. Every observation, every measurement, every test had occurred under human scrutiny. The observers studied what the humans allowed them to see. Their entire research mission proceeded under conditions controlled by the subjects. This realization transformed their understanding of the power dynamic completely. Luna's voice shifted from analytical to declarative. The tone carried the weight of established protocol rather than emotional response. She defined their actions with chilling precision. Your research methods assumed we would react with fear, confusion, and disorganized panic. The statement landed not as accusation, but as factual correction. She presented their error in methodology with the detachment of a peer reviewer, noting flawed experimental design. The observers had framed their actions as scientific research. Standard galactic protocol, controlled stimuli to measure stress responses. They viewed humans as subjects in an approved study. Luna redefined their actions using human ethical frameworks. Unauthorized experimentation on civilian populations. Deliberate infliction of harm without consent. Hostile action against a sovereign settlement. Her reclassification changed everything about how the incident would be processed. Instead of encountering fear, they found professionals treating their attack as a technical challenge. The settlement responded with coordinated precision rather than primitive panic. Their defensive measures demonstrated advanced understanding of electromagnetic warfare. Their communication intercepts showed strategic analysis rather than confused reaction. The observers' assumptions about primitive behavior proved completely incorrect. Luna presented the human position without compromise. Unauthorized experimentation violates fundamental ethical principles. Civilian populations cannot be subjected to testing without consent. Harm cannot be inflicted for data collection. These weren't negotiable points. They were statements of established human legal and ethical standards. The observers' actions violated codes developed through centuries of scientific ethics evolution. The demand came not as request, but as declaration. Immediate withdrawal from human space, complete cessation of all observation activities, full disclosure of all collected data, adoption of new protocols based on informed consent. These terms allowed no negotiation. They represented non-negotiable requirements for continued interaction. The humans set the conditions without room for compromise. This wasn't diplomacy between unequal parties. It was presentation of new operational realities. The observers no longer held technological superiority. They no longer maintained observational advantage. They faced opponents who controlled their systems and understood their methods. The power dynamic forced acceptance of human terms rather than negotiation of compromises. The conversation shifted from apology to accountability. Luna didn't seek regret or explanation. She demanded structural change and procedural reform. Her focus remained on preventing recurrence rather than punishing past actions. The solution required systematic overhaul of galactic research protocols. Individual apologies mattered less than institutional reform. The resolution left no ambiguity. The observers must accept human terms or face consequences. Their compromised systems gave them little bargaining power. Their ethical violation provided no moral high ground. Their continued presence in human space depended on compliance with human demands. The choice became simple adaptation or complete exclusion. Luna's ethical framework extended beyond immediate concerns. She demanded changes to galactic research standards overall. The incident couldn't be resolved through private agreement. It required public reform affecting all observed civilizations. This escalation transformed a single violation into a catalyst for systemic change. The observers' actions now had implications for entire galactic protocols. The transition from scientific incident to ethical confrontation completed itself. The observers found themselves accountable to a civilization they'd considered primitive. Their assumption of superiority became their greatest liability. Their technological advantage proved irrelevant against ethical certainty. They faced consequences for actions they'd considered standard procedure. Luna delivered the terms with the flat certainty of settled reality. We will participate as partners or not at all. The statement left no room for interpretation. The galactic community's standard practice of treating less advanced species as research subjects ended here. Humanity refused specimen status. They demanded equal standing from the first moment of contact. The required framework shifted fundamentally. Formal diplomatic relations replaced observational protocols. Complete transparency superseded covert study. Mutual exchange of information overcame one-way data collection. The humans established new rules for interstellar engagement based on consent rather than capability assessment. Their position rejected centuries of galactic research tradition. The covenant against non-consensual observation became non-negotiable. No species could be studied without informed agreement. No testing could occur without explicit permission. No data could be gathered without mutual benefit. These requirements transformed interstellar relations from exploitative inquiry to cooperative engagement. The old model of superior civilizations observing inferior ones collapsed under ethical scrutiny. This represented the most significant shift in galactic diplomacy in millennia. Power dynamics based on technological advantage became unacceptable. Relationships would now form through mutual respect and shared interest. The humans didn't request these changes. They established them as prerequisites for continued interaction. Their compromised position gave them leverage to demand structural reform. Cooperative engagement became the only acceptable path forward. The observers couldn't return to standard protocols. Their systems remained vulnerable to human intrusion. Their methodologies stood exposed as ethically deficient. Their assumptions about human capabilities proved completely inaccurate. They faced a choice between adapting to new realities or losing access entirely. Humanity redefined the terms of galactic contact through demonstration rather than negotiation. They showed they couldn't be dominated technologically. They proved they couldn't be outmaneuvered strategically. They established they wouldn't be treated unequally ethically. Their demands reflected their demonstrated capabilities rather than aspirational goals. The partnership ultimatum forced the galactic community to confront its own assumptions. Technological advancement didn't justify ethical violation. Scientific curiosity didn't override consent principles. Observational protocols needed complete overhaul to match evolving ethical standards. The humans became catalysts for change they hadn't created but wouldn't tolerate. The choice became starkly simple: adaptation or isolation. The observers could accept the new framework of equal partnership, or they could withdraw from human space completely. Middle ground disappeared. Compromise evaporated. The old ways became untenable against human capabilities and ethical certainty. This transformation affected more than just human-alien relations. It established precedent for all interstellar contact. Other observed species would learn from this incident. Previously, passive subjects might demand similar terms. The galactic power structure faced potential reorganization based on ethical principles rather than technological hierarchy. The observers recognized the inevitability of the shift. Their continued presence required accepting human terms. Their future interactions would operate under new rules. Their entire approach to first contact needed reconsideration. The partnership ultimatum didn't just change current operations. It changed everything that would follow. Humanity's intervention created a new galactic standard. Relationships would form through mutual agreement rather than unilateral action. Study would occur through collaboration rather than observation. Advancement would come through exchange rather than extraction. The old model of exploitative inquiry died in that communication. A new era of cooperative engagement began with human insistence on fundamental equality. Commander Vex stood before the Galactic High Council, with his hands clasped behind his back. The chamber stretched upward into darkness, the council members' faces illuminated by the glow of their decision panels. He delivered his report in clipped, precise sentences. The observation mission intended to demonstrate galactic technological superiority instead revealed catastrophic systemic failure. Every assumption proved incorrect. Every security measure proved inadequate. Every protocol proved flawed. The humans compromised ship systems at fundamental levels. They accessed navigation controls, environmental regulation, and communication networks. They manipulated life support without triggering alarms. They intercepted classified transmissions without detection. The observer's vessel became transparent to human analysis, while remaining blind to human capabilities. The technological gap that should have guaranteed advantage instead created vulnerability. Directorate credibility suffered irreparable damage. The observation program represented centuries of established scientific practice. Its methods were considered validated by countless previous studies. Now its foundational assumptions stood exposed as ethically and methodologically unsound. The program that should have reinforced galactic authority instead undermined it completely. Council members exchanged concerned glances as Vex detailed the extent of the failure. Vex testified to the comprehensive nature of the breach. Human intrusion wasn't limited to current systems. They accessed historical data, research archives, and even personal logs. They demonstrated understanding of technologies centuries beyond their own development. Their penetration showed patience and precision rather than brute force. They learned alien systems through careful observation rather than aggressive attack. Their approach revealed sophisticated analytical capabilities the observers completely missed. The Council faced unprecedented challenges on multiple fronts. Ethical violations required immediate address. Security compromises demanded system-wide review. Methodological failures necessitated complete protocol overhaul. They couldn't ignore the humans' demonstrated capabilities. Their technological adaptability, strategic thinking, and ethical certainty forced reconsideration of galactic policies. The incident revealed weaknesses in their entire approach to interstellar relations. Resolution came through painful acknowledgement. The program's failure provided a galactic-scale lesson in humility. Advanced technology doesn't guarantee superiority. Complex systems create complex vulnerabilities. Ethical certainty can overcome technological advantage. The observers learned more about their own limitations than about human capabilities. Their mission produced valuable data about galactic weaknesses rather than human strengths. Consequences extended far beyond the single incident. Other observed species would learn from this failure. Previously, passive civilizations might demand similar treatment. The galactic power structure faced potential reorganization based on new ethical standards. The observation program that seemed routine now threatened to destabilize interstellar relations across multiple sectors. The Council recognized they weren't just addressing one mission failure. They were facing a paradigm shift in how civilizations interact across technological divides. The presentation ended in silence. Council members processed the implications. Their confident assumption of galactic superiority confronted uncomfortable reality. Technological advancement didn't justify ethical violation. Scientific curiosity didn't override consent principles. Observation protocols needed complete transformation to match evolving standards. The humans forced this reckoning not through threat, but through demonstration. Their capabilities and convictions proved more powerful than any weapon. Vex's testimony became the official record of institutional failure. The observation program would never operate the same way again. Its methods, its ethics, its very purpose required re-examination. The consequences would ripple through galactic society for generations. What began as standard scientific procedure ended as catalyst for fundamental change. The Council now faced the difficult task of rebuilding their approach to interstellar contact from first principles. 43 species filed formal complaints within the first galactic cycle. Their petitions cited unauthorized observation, psychological manipulation, and technological intrusion. The observation program, once considered standard scientific practice, now faced universal condemnation. Multiple civilizations recognized the ethical violations they had endured for centuries. They found solidarity and shared experience of being studied without consent. Their collective voice created pressure the Galactic Council couldn't ignore. Humanity disseminated their ethical framework across communication networks. They shared technical analyses of alien vulnerabilities without exploitation. Their transmissions contained no threats, only lessons learned from the incident. They demonstrated how technological superiority often created strategic blind spots. Their approach emphasized mutual understanding over unilateral advantage. This information exchange built trust rather than fear. Technical insights spread rapidly across species boundaries. Formerly observed civilizations learned they weren't alone in their experiences. They discovered common patterns in observation methodologies. They recognized shared vulnerabilities in their technological development. This knowledge created unexpected alliances among previously isolated species. They began coordinating their responses to galactic research initiatives. The galactic community underwent rapid ethical evolution. Consent became the non-negotiable foundation for all research. Transparency replaced secrecy in scientific exchange. Mutual benefit overcame unilateral data collection. These changes occurred through species demanding better treatment, rather than councils imposing reforms. The power dynamic shifted from observers to the observed. Former subjects became advocates for consent-based research. They formed coalitions to protect developing civilizations. They established monitoring systems to detect unauthorized observation. They created educational programs about ethical first contact procedures. Their advocacy transformed galactic scientific culture from within. They turned their experience of being studied into expertise in ethical research practices. The incident triggered a widespread reform movement that crossed political boundaries. Military, scientific, and diplomatic sectors all adopted new protocols. Observation missions required approval from multiple oversight bodies. Technological superiority no longer justified ethical exceptions. The reforms affected everything from first contact procedures to long-term study programs. Galactic consequences extended far beyond policy changes. Research institutions faced funding reviews based on ethical compliance. Scientific publications required proof of consent for all field studies. Observation technology developers incorporated ethical safeguards into their designs. The entire infrastructure of interstellar study underwent fundamental transformation. The observers' actions created unintended positive outcomes. Their ethical failure became the catalyst for galactic ethical advancement. Their technological overconfidence demonstrated the dangers of unexamined superiority. Their methodological rigidity showed the limitations of predetermined assessment frameworks. Every aspect of their failure provided valuable lessons for the entire community. Solidarity among observed species became a permanent feature of galactic politics. They established mutual defense agreements against unauthorized research. They shared technological developments to reduce vulnerability gaps. They created early warning systems for detection of observation activities. Their collective power now balanced previously dominant observer species. The galactic reaction demonstrated that ethical principles could overcome technological disparity. Consent proved more powerful than capability. Transparency created stronger relationships than secrecy. Mutual respect built more durable frameworks than unilateral control. The observers' actions ultimately improved galactic relations through forced reckoning with outdated practices. Their failure became the foundation for better interstellar science. Luna's final transmission carried the weight of demonstrated fact rather than theoretical argument. Her voice held no threat, only professional assessment. The observers believed technological superiority guaranteed dominance. They assumed advanced systems created insurmountable advantages. Luna dismantled this assumption with cold precision. She didn't need to threaten. She needed only to state observable reality. Humans are extremely good at turning other people's superior technology into their own strategic advantage. The statement landed with the force of proven capability. This wasn't theft or replication. It was creative adaptation and fundamental improvement. The humans didn't just use captured technology. They understood its principles, re-engineered its functions, and enhanced its performance. Their approach demonstrated deep comprehension rather than superficial imitation. The demonstration unfolded across multiple systems simultaneously. Alien communication protocols operated with 30% greater efficiency under human control. Navigation systems achieved tighter positional accuracy. Sensor arrays detected signatures the original designers hadn't anticipated. Each enhancement showed complete mastery of the underlying technology. The humans didn't just operate alien systems. They improved them through creative application of different engineering philosophies. This capability made them dangerous to any opponent relying solely on technological advantage. Superior systems became vulnerabilities when facing adaptive intelligence. Complex technology provided more surface area for creative repurposing. Advanced designs contained more undiscovered potential for enhancement. The observer's greatest strength became their critical weakness against human ingenuity. Technological superiority alone cannot guarantee victory. The demonstration proved that superiority is relative to operational context. Humans thrive in environments of scarcity and constraint. Their evolutionary path favored adaptability over specialization. This different development trajectory created unique problem-solving capabilities. Their strength lies in conceptual flexibility rather than predetermined functionality. The lesson extends to all future interstellar interactions. Civilizations cannot be ranked on linear technological scales. Different developmental paths create different kinds of strength. Adaptive intelligence can overcome technological disparity through creative application. Understanding systems proves more valuable than simply operating them. This realization transforms how civilizations assess potential threats and allies. Luna's closing statement defined the new galactic reality. Power dynamics would no longer follow simple technological hierarchies. Relationships would form through mutual respect for different capabilities. Assessment would consider adaptive capacity alongside predetermined functionality. The human demonstration forced re-evaluation of centuries of strategic thinking. The final transmission ended without dramatics. Luna delivered her assessment with the calm certainty of someone stating obvious facts. The observer's technology remained advanced. Their systems retained sophisticated capabilities. But their assumption of automatic superiority died in that communication. They faced a future where technological advantage provided no guarantees against creative adaptation. This capability ensures human relevance in any technological environment. They don't need to develop equivalent systems. They need only understand existing systems better than their creators. Their strength lies in seeing potential where others see limitation. This adaptive advantage makes them formidable regardless of technological starting points. The lesson resonates across all interstellar relations. Civilizations must now consider cognitive flexibility alongside technological complexity. Different developmental paths produce different strategic advantages. Human capabilities demonstrate that technological progression isn't linear. Alternative approaches can create unexpected strengths that challenge conventional power structures. Luna's final words hung in the air. The demonstration was complete. The lesson was learned. The galactic power calculus had changed permanently. Technological superiority became just one factor among many in assessing civilizations. Adaptive intelligence and creative problem-solving now weighed equally in the balance. The observers faced a future where their advanced technology guaranteed nothing against opponents who could turn it against them. The High Council voted without debate. Every member endorsed Luna's recommendations simultaneously. Galactic research ethics established over 2,000 cycles transformed in a single session. Millennia of observational tradition collapsed under the weight of demonstrated failure. Humanity forced complete ethical overhaul through one negotiation. Their intervention created change that should have taken generations. Informed consent became mandatory for all interstellar study. No observation could proceed without explicit permission. No testing could occur without full disclosure. No data collection could happen without mutual agreement. These requirements transformed scientific practice across 43 sectors. Research protocols shifted from secrecy to transparency overnight. Diplomatic frameworks replaced covert observation. First contact procedures now required formal introductions. Study parameters needed approval from observed civilizations. Data sharing became bidirectional rather than unilateral. The relationship between researchers and subjects changed from hierarchical to collaborative. Power dynamics balanced through consent rather than capability. Civilizations under study now controlled research parameters. They could reject specific tests. They could demand data access. They could terminate observations at any time. Their sovereignty over self-study became absolute. The observed gained equal standing with observers in determining research boundaries. This shift represented the most significant ethical transformation in recorded galactic history. The new covenant emphasized mutual respect and cooperation. Scientific advancement would occur through partnership rather than predation. Knowledge would flow in all directions rather than from advanced to primitive. Technological exchange would benefit all participants rather than enriching only the observers. This framework recognized that different developmental paths created different valuable insights. Humanity's intervention created lasting positive change through demonstration rather than domination. They didn't conquer the galactic community. They convinced it through ethical certainty and capability demonstration. Their actions showed that technological superiority didn't justify ethical violation. Their approach proved that cooperation produced better results than coercion. The galaxy entered a new era of ethical contact. Research institutions adopted completely new protocols. Observation technology incorporated consent mechanisms. Scientific training included ethical compliance certification. The changes affected every level of interstellar relations from first contact to long-term study. The transformation was both rapid and permanent. This represented the most significant shift in galactic ethics since the formation of the High Council itself. The changes affected more than research protocols. They altered how civilizations perceived each other across technological divides. They established that ethical principles could overcome power disparities. They proved that mutual respect created stronger foundations than unilateral control. The protocol transformation demonstrated that galactic progress could occur through ethical evolution rather than technological advancement alone. Civilizations could improve their relationships without becoming more advanced. They could develop better ways of interacting without developing better technology. This realization opened new possibilities for interstellar cooperation. Humanity's intervention became the catalyst for galactic ethical maturity. Their actions forced confrontation with outdated practices. Their capabilities demonstrated the limitations of technological superiority. Their ethical certainty provided a model for improved relations. The changes they inspired would shape interstellar interactions for centuries to come. The galaxy now operated under new principles. Consent became the foundation of all scientific inquiry. Transparency replaced secrecy as the standard for interaction. Mutual benefit overcame unilateral advantage as the goal of contact. These changes created a more stable, more ethical, and more productive galactic community. The protocol transformation proved that ethical evolution could occur rapidly when confronted with undeniable evidence and demonstrated capability. 3 cycles later, the changes held firm. The new protocols proved more durable than anyone predicted. Skeptics doubted consent-based research could replace centuries of observational tradition. They assumed civilizations would revert to covert methods when convenient. Instead, the reforms strengthened galactic security and trust across multiple sectors. Cooperation produced better data than observation ever achieved. Humanity continued sharing ethical insights without demanding reciprocity. Their technical analyses helped civilizations identify vulnerabilities in their systems. They demonstrated how adaptive thinking could overcome technological disparities. Their approach emphasized mutual advancement rather than competitive advantage. This generous information exchange built stronger alliances than forced observation ever created. Dozens of civilizations adopted consent-based research models. Former observer species reformed their scientific institutions. Previously observed civilizations established ethical review boards. The galactic research community transformed from secretive to transparent. Data sharing increased as trust grew between species. Scientific progress accelerated through open collaboration rather than guarded competition. The incident became foundational precedent for cooperative exploration. Every first contact protocol now referenced the human-alien encounter. Training programs included case studies on ethical engagement. Research institutions developed new accountability measures. The lessons learned shaped interstellar relations for generations. What began as conflict became cornerstone guidance. Bex's testimony served as cautionary tale across 43 species. His detailed account of institutional failure became required reading for observational teams. The report documented how technological superiority created analytical blind spots. It explained how ethical certainty could overcome capability disparities. His humiliation became education for the entire galactic community. The galaxy learned to value different kinds of intelligence. Assessment frameworks expanded beyond technological metrics. Adaptive capacity gained equal standing with predetermined functionality. Creative problem-solving became recognized as strategic advantage. Civilizations began appreciating diverse developmental paths, rather than ranking them hierarchically. This cognitive shift improved intercultural understanding across all sectors. The disaster became catalyst for improved relations. Conflict transformed into cooperation through demonstrated capability and ethical certainty. The observers' failure produced lasting positive change across galactic society. Their miscalculation created opportunities for better interaction models. What appeared catastrophic ultimately advanced interstellar relations significantly. Humanity's approach became the new galactic standard. Consent-based research now underpins all scientific exploration. Transparency defines information exchange between civilizations. Mutual benefit guides technological development. These principles spread beyond research into diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange. The human demonstration changed how civilizations interact across all domains. The reforms proved self-reinforcing over time. Civilizations discovered that ethical engagement produced better outcomes than covert observation. Trust built through consent created more reliable data than secrecy. Cooperation yielded insights that isolation never could. The new protocols demonstrated their own superiority through practical results. The lasting impact shows in improved security across all sectors. Civilizations share threat information more freely. They coordinate responses to emerging challenges more effectively. The trust built through ethical engagement creates stronger alliances than technological superiority ever could. The galaxy becomes more stable through mutual respect rather than unilateral control. Humanity's intervention created permanent positive change without conquest or coercion. Their demonstration of capability and ethical certainty convinced rather than forced. Their approach proved that principles could overcome power disparities. The lasting impact demonstrates that galactic progress can occur through ethical evolution as much as technological advancement. The changes continue expanding 3 cycles later, affecting new civilizations and new sectors continuously. The final transmission carried no trace of triumph. It held the dry precision of a technical assessment. Luna's voice came across clean and measured as she delivered the closing judgment. The observers attempted one last proposal. They suggested modified observation under limited parameters. They offered restricted data collection with partial oversight. Their position assumed some middle ground remained between consent and coercion. Luna dismantled this final illusion without raising her voice. She refused any observation without full consent. She rejected all study without complete transparency. There would be no modified protocols, no restricted parameters, no conditional approval. The choice remained absolute. Equal partnership or no contact whatsoever. Her final statement landed with the weight of cultural verdict. Next time you want to study human behavior, try introducing yourselves first. The simplicity of the statement concealed its devastating implication. Centuries of galactic research tradition collapsed into that single suggestion. The entire ethical shift reduced to basic courtesy. This simple proposition encapsulated everything. Cooperation arises from treating others as equals. Engagement requires mutual recognition. Scientific curiosity cannot override fundamental respect. The humans demonstrated that weaponized curiosity inevitably leads to conflict. Their response proved that unconsented study creates defensive reactions rather than valuable data. The humans remain dangerous to any who violate this principle. Their capability to adapt alien technology into defensive weapons makes them formidable opponents. Their understanding of system vulnerabilities allows them to turn superiority into liability. Their ethical certainty provides moral justification for defensive actions. Any civilization attempting covert observation now faces demonstrated consequences. Respect and consent form the only sustainable path forward. The incident proved that ethical engagement produces better results than covert study. Transparency builds trust that secrecy destroys. Mutual benefit creates stronger alliances than unilateral advantage. The galaxy learned that different developmental paths create different strengths worth understanding properly. The story closes with this fundamental truth. First contact requires introduction before investigation. Study demands consent before data collection. Engagement needs equality before advancement. These principles now define interstellar relations because humans enforce them through capability demonstration rather than philosophical argument. Luna's final words hang in the air as permanent guidance. The simple act of introduction transforms everything. It acknowledges equality. It establishes respect. It creates framework for consent. What begins with courtesy can develop into cooperation. What begins with secrecy inevitably becomes conflict. The observers learned that technological superiority provides no exemption from basic ethical principles. Their advanced systems became vulnerabilities against adaptive intelligence. Their secret methodologies produced flawed data through manipulated responses. Their entire approach required complete overhaul after one confrontation. Humanity's position remains clear and consistent. They will partner as equals or not at all. They will share knowledge transparently or keep their discoveries. They will defend their sovereignty against any unauthorized intrusion. This stance transforms how civilizations interact across technological divides. The final word becomes the first principle of new galactic relations. Introduction precedes investigation. Consent enables study. Respect facilitates understanding. These simple concepts overturned millennia of observational tradition because humans demonstrated their necessity through action rather than negotiation. The galaxy now operates on these terms because the alternative proved unsustainable against human capabilities and ethical certainty. Humanity transformed catastrophe into cornerstone. Their response to unauthorized experimentation rewrote galactic protocols overnight. What began as scientific aggression ended as ethical evolution. The observers learned advanced technology provides no ethical exemption. True intelligence manifests through adaptation under constraint. Improvisation triumphs over predetermined solutions. Respect for autonomy proves stronger than forced observation. Different developmental paths create different strengths worth understanding properly. The incident forced galactic recognition that technological superiority doesn't guarantee ethical superiority. Sustainable relationships require mutual consent, not unilateral advantage. Human capabilities demonstrated that creative adaptation can overcome any technological disparity when guided by unwavering ethical principles.